Yo, yo, yo. How's everyone doing? Can you all hear me okay? Sweet. Sweet. Oh, the real North Audit. How you doing, my man? How you doing, Jay? Cheers, Keith. Nice to see you. Buffalo Bill, Charles. How you doing, Graham? Cool. Thank you, Paul. How you doing, Raymond? Just Stuman. Patriot. Patriot users, you've chopped your hair off. Is it like this? How you doing, Andy? How you doing, Kevin? True Patriot. Thomas. Winston. And Proving Molly, of course. How can we forget Proving Molly? It's a bit early for you two to be jumping up, isn't it? Or maybe not. Hello. Hello. Yeah, and you. Yes, and you. Right. And you, Alice. Go on. Go away for a minute. So how's everybody doing? Sweet as a nut. I haven't heard that said for ages. Paul Mitchell's chilling and Just Stuman's eating chili. How you doing, Alan? Yeah, I should make the dogs their own channel actually, shouldn't I? But they're boring bastards, so there's no point. Dogging channel. I'll tell you what, it is windy as anything else. I've just had to go up the shop and get some stuff, and I've just got back, and it's windy as anything out there, but it is so warm and stuffy. Hello, Nikki. There you go. Hello, Nikki. Let's give you a wave as well. Jace the Ace, how you doing? Yeah, Pauline, it's about time we had somebody catch that on camera. To be honest, the amount of cards that have been shipped out over a period of time, and it's taken this long to get one caught on camera being used. I mean, I carry them with me all the time. I just have not been stopped for any reason, so I've just not had a chance to use them myself. How you doing, Lawrence? Thank you. Appreciate that. How you doing, Fergus? No, Andy, I didn't. I don't do pubs, mate, and I especially don't do them when they're asking for information. And I know some people are going to say that it's not compulsory to give information. I talk a bit more about that in tomorrow's PAT reports. But no, I didn't go to the pub, and I'm not likely to anytime soon. Yeah, the hat's off at the moment. It won't be long before my hair's long enough to make it look like I'm wearing a white hat. I'll just get the logo dyed into their hair, into my hair at the front. Patriot views, I can't do it at the moment because my computer will start playing up. Unless I was using that one, which I'm not at the moment. So email me and I'll check it out. No worries, petrol head. An old newbie, Chipachawa. I think that's how you pronounce it. If it's not, my apologies. The studio, there's not a lot I can do with the studio right now. There's a few people threw a few pounds through PayPal the other day, which was incredibly generous and nice of them. But there's not a great deal I can do at the moment. I can't really jump in and get it all done as quickly as I'd like to. It's probably still going to take a month or so to get it done. But it, the basics are there. I do need to get rid of all of the reverb and the echo. That's one of the most important things to do. Excuse me. But yeah, it's yeah. I'm pleased. I'm pleased with, especially the desk. I mean, the desk is absolutely amazing. I've got to say, it is such a result to find that desk. And the guy that dropped it off said to me the house that it came from was immaculate. And as I said to him, look, check it up, take pictures if there's any damage to it. Take pictures before you put it on the back of your van. And when he dropped it off, he said, you know what? He said, you have had a touch. He said, that is absolutely cracking quality, and it is. It's amazing. So yeah, obviously got a filing cabinet, a couple of drawers there as well. But yeah, it might sound muffled because my throat's a little bit my throat's a little bit funny tonight. Been deep throating again. No. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've still got 2 videos as well. See, what tends to happen is people will send me videos, or I'll find videos, and I put them in a folder on my desktop. And what happens is I think to myself, right, I will do that tomorrow when I finish doing the PAT reports. And then it gets to the point in the evening where it's too late to start. So I put it off for the next day. And by that time, somebody else has sent me a video. And that goes in the folder to do as well. And it's just so happens that over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, I've had videos sent to me, people asking me about videos, and I've just not been able to get around to doing them. So I really had to do them. Do you know what I mean? as a couple of people said, one of the videos is they've seen before, which obviously, if I had the time, then they would have seen it on here first. No, it's not that petrol head. It's just I've got the room to store them on the computer. It's just that I just don't have the time because of the daily reports and doing it all on my own, so to speak. I just don't have the time to do them ones as often as I'd like. So the Pinaki News video about English heritage is actually on that computer at the moment in an open tab waiting for me to watch it. Yeah, Glenn, I had a chat with UK Column, one of their guys, last week, and even he said to me, you know, he said respect for doing the daily videos. You know, he said that UK Column used to do them, and I know they do them now. But he said UK Column used to do the daily reports when they didn't have, you know, as many people working for them, so to speak, and it was a lot of hard work, and it is a lot of hard work. No, it wasn't Brian that I spoke to. It was one of it was the guy in Scotland. I can't remember. John, I think his name was. I can't remember without looking. It's the Scottish guy who's got a beard almost identically coloured to mine, with these two white bits either side of the middle. John Scott, I think. David Scott, that's the one. Do it, Jack. Do it. Do it. No, I didn't do any clapping either. I don't even clap at the end of a show. You're not going to catch me doing it on my doorstep. What's on tonight's live stream? Well, it was a bit of a late one today, getting on, because I've been working on them other videos today as well, and getting ready for tomorrow's report. Obviously, with the weekend, Mondays are usually quite busy, so I'll try and get some done on a Sunday, even though it's supposed to be my day off. But there we go. But I have got a few links here of things that I could bring up, could talk about. But then I'm talking about them in tomorrow's PAP, well, most of them in tomorrow's PAP reports as well. So if we talk about it now, then it won't be in tomorrow's Pat reports. I live free. I'm doing well, mate. I hope you are. Thank you, Patriot Views. Noel Fortune from Holland. How you doing? Welcome. What's that to do with, Ivan? Is that to do with the Ellie thing? It's actually growing quicker than it looks. It's just that it's grayer than it was as well. Oh, my eyeballs are playing up. Do you ever get to that point where you wish you could just pop your eyeballs out and give them a wash and then put them back in again? Mohawk. I mean, look. I mean, we all know what. Well, I said it in a Pat reports the other day about the Premier League distancing themselves from BLM UK. Now, obviously, to make it clear, BLM UK doesn't necessarily seem to be affiliated with BLM in America. But I'll tell you, that BLM UK has raised over £1 million on GoFundMe. Over £1 million on GoFundMe. And yet there is nothing in there that says where that money's going, what it's going to be spent on, how it's going to be used to help the black community. There's nothing on there that really explains any of that. Nobody really knows who's running BLM UK, and yet people are just throwing money at it. No problem if it's actually going to be used for actual good. Although they should still be, if they're trying to do something good, why are they trying to hide themselves? Why are they trying not to be identified, shall we say? Nobody really knows who's running it, Thank you, Thomas. Very kind of you. I'll tell you what, James, if I was behind that GoFundMe, my studio would be done by now. Well, Mike, I've got to be honest, I don't really know that much about BLM in the USA. All I can say is that although they want to defund the police over there, the UK arm, shall we say, seem to have more extreme views from what I've seen. Now, I don't get to delve in too deeply into any particular subjects because I simply don't have the time. So I have to look at one subject and then I've got to look at another and then another and then another. But from what I've seen, they are similar, but they've got some differences. Specifically, the UK arm of the BLM seems to be quite extreme. I mean, we've actually got now as well. We've got we've got councils, as we know. We've seen and heard this anyway, but we've got councils that are taking things to the extreme as well, with changing road names. You know, taking down pictures in galleries or removing statues and things like that. We've got all this kind of stuff that's going on, which doesn't really make any sense to me. What makes... Thank you, Live Free. Much appreciated. If you ban me, what are you doing, Lucifer, that deserves you to be banned? Anyway, I'll carry on. The councils and things like that are talking about removing history, ultimately. Now, I don't see how that is going to make any difference. If they want to make a difference, then what they should be doing is they should be, when new roads need building, for example, think about naming those new roads after black people, you know, that have famous or whatever it might be. Don't get rid of the ones that we've got and change them. Just start thinking forward and start, you know, maybe put up some more statues somewhere of BAME people that have done something, or rename or name new roads after people. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't, just to me, it just does not make sense to try and disguise, you know, our past just because some people don't like what people hundreds of years ago have done. And it just doesn't seem to make any sense. Even the obviously the Premier League have stepped back from BLM UK. I believe that they are not going to be promoting them anymore, although they're allowing footballers, obviously, if they choose to promote Black Lives Matter on the back of their shirts or take the knee, then they're allowing them to do that. But the actual Premier League have taken that step back. But we've got things like Sky. Now, I know many of you dislike Sky. It's not a channel that I watch myself, but Sky Sports have told the presenters that they're not allowed to use words that may relate to slavery. Let that sink in. They're not allowed to use words that may relate to slavery. For example, and this is an example that's given in an article that I saw, nitty gritty. Nitty gritty. I'm sure many of you have heard the words nitty gritty. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Yeah? That is a phrase that Sky Sports presenters are not allowed to use anymore. Does that make sense? Yes, Jesus Jones, yeah, nitty gritty, mate, yeah. Because that is a word, apparently, that is associated to slavery. Now, I think if you go back through the origins of words, you are going to find many of our words come from countries, societies, times in our past. Like a lot of our words come from the Greek word for something, or Latin. But you're going to find we also have words that come from German, a German word that's been adapted into some of ours. But you could go through the dictionary, and if you researched every word, I reckon there is a hell of a lot in there. Thank you, Ash. Much appreciated. I think you're going to find there's a hell of a lot of words that we use on an everyday basis that could be traced back to relating to or being associated to a civilization or a type of people that maybe we don't like or maybe did something wrong. So are we going to reword? Are we going to go through the dictionary and do that? You can't do that. I mean, you've got words that are going to offend certain people. I mean, for me, I don't get all that. People say all sorts to me. It doesn't offend me. Do you know what I mean? People call me names, say all sorts. It doesn't offend me. But I know there are people out there that will melt at the first sign of a word that they don't like. Now, I always go by that thing, sticks and stones may break your bones, but police will do a worse job. Sticks and stones may break our bones, but names will never hurt you. And that's obviously something that I go by. But there's so many people that sticks and stones may break your bones, but no, please don't say that because it's going to melt me. We'll get over it. But there are some words that you just wouldn't use to describe people. And I think most people would understand that and not use them anyway, just out of respect. And I think that's what it boils down to, doesn't it? I think it boils down to respect more than anything else. But this whole thing about nitty gritty and I mean all these other words. I mean, I did a little bit of research the other night, and I came up with. See if I can find it. Well, let's use this one for example. Let me go back to. Now, if we're gonna get rid of words, or if we're not allowed to use words, I know it's not everybody, it's just Sky at the moment, but think of it this way: they're not allowed to use words such as bondage, and they wouldn't use that on Sky Sports anyway. But bondage, that is a synonym for slavery. This isn't a word derived from it or associated to it. This is another word for it. So slavery, they wouldn't be able to use. Bondage, captivity. I don't know what the Labour Party are going to do. The Labour Party, they're going to have to change their name because Labour is another synonym for slavery. Grind, the daily grind. Wouldn't be able to use that anymore. Restraint. We'll have to put a petition up and get the police to stop using the word restrain. What else is there? Work. There you go. Work. If you look on the thesaurus.com, a synonym for slavery is the word work. W-O-R-K. How many times in a day does that word get said, do you reckon? And just think, if it gets to a point where the government turns snowflake enough and go, well, we've got to do the right thing for the minority communities. And imagine if they pull all these words out and we're not allowed to use them. Can you imagine how ridiculous that is? Well, at the end of the day, just have respect for people and don't use words that would disrespect them. as far as I'm concerned, it all comes down to respect. If someone disrespects you, then disrespect them back by all means. You know what I mean? But you don't need to ban words if people are being respectful to each other. Yeah, I mean, that got miniature whiteboard there. It is, Thomas. It's getting out of hand, of course. Yeah, Snowflake will be next. So, well, yeah, I'll tell you what, RJ. I'll tell you what. I reckon we're going to have a new generation of people that identify as snowflakes. Trust me, we're going to have a new generation of people that identify as snowflakes, right? And what they're going to do is they're going to walk around all day, just floating around like this as they walk around, going about their daily business, right? And if you call them a snowflake, it'll be a hate crime. It'll go on your record as a hate crime, and you'll never be able to get a job again, just because somebody identifies as a snowflake and you call them a snowflake, and it upset them. You see, Kevin, you wouldn't be able to use the word pot either, because because pot is in the sentence, pot called kettle black. So you couldn't use that because it's, you know, it's too connected to that word. And I'm taking a mickey there, obviously, but just this is the way that it's going. Again, I understand that some people don't want to be called certain words or certain names, and again, it boils, as far as I'm concerned, it boils down to respect. Stop forcing people to follow certain paths. Stop forcing people to take these, or to take on these people's agenda, and just tell everybody to, or allow everybody to respect each other. You know what I mean? Stop giving that person or that group of people the power to punish that group of people just because they might not like something that they say or do. Just tell everybody you're all treated the same. You are all the fucking same. Okay? So just get on and respect each other. If they say something you don't like, then, you know, deal with it. Sort it out. Without breaking the law, obviously. But all of this run to the police because somebody said something I don't like is madness. Yeah, Mike, I agree with you, but the problem is if you get an organisation like Sky virtue signalling, how long is it going to be before others start doing the same? And eventually, it's going to seep out of the media section into places like the government. I mean, it's already there in a way, but it's just going to get worse if these people don't just take a step back from this. I think that's what people need to do, is take a step back and say, well, hang on a minute. We all got caught up in a moment. You know, what happened to George Floyd was bang out of order. Absolutely. Nobody, I don't think anybody denies the fact that the guy shouldn't have died. Okay. But to blindly start charging in this direction without taking any thought over the consequences or over the future of that decision, is absolute madness. Ah, Candy Cane, how you doing? Take a step back, turn around, put your hands behind your back, stop resisting. Yeah, exactly, Ringo. How you doing, Gillian? What do I think of 30-year-old Robertson Gollywog? Oh, I wish I wish the chat hadn't moved then. What do I think a 30-year-old Robertson Gollywog badge brooch is worth in a current climate? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. But once it's all forgotten, give it a few, give it another 5 or 10 years when people don't even remember the phrase, and you pull that out and go, look what this is. They go, oh my God, what's that? Because everyone would have forgotten about it. No, Joe Black, you can use any words you like if you're using them to describe me. My skin is pretty thick. Oh, proving Molly, not while I'm on camera. Ryan, I've got to be honest, I don't do that many bloopers, in all fairness, and it's really difficult because if I had somebody who just edited for me, it would be so much easier because they'd have the time to do that and they'd be able to pull all of them out and stick them all together. Although there's not a lot, but they'd be able to do that. I just don't have the time to do it, I'm afraid. I mean, by all means, if somebody wants to go through all of my videos and screen record the bits where I balls up and put them all into a blooper reel, then by all means go for it. I don't mind people doing that at all. JJ, it's going to be a while. It's probably going to be a month or so, I would imagine. Lewis Hamilton drives for the same company that supplied all of Hitler's cars. Does that make sense with everything that he says? Yeah, exactly. He wants, see, Graham, something that I read, I think it was a couple of days ago, that he said something about getting rid of all of the all of the images, anything that relates to racism and all of that kind of stuff. Discrimination we'll call it, rather than racism, because discrimination affects everybody, and that's what it is. It's not just racism. There is multiple layers of discrimination, and everybody gets discriminated against at some point by someone. But he was saying about getting rid of all of these symbols of discrimination and all the rest of it. while he was wearing a Mercedes badge on his hat, which is the car company that supplied Hitler all of his vehicles. Yeah, I remember seeing Lewis Hamilton on Blue Peter. There's probably a few of you out there, probably not many of you, but there's a few people. Graham probably knows, although I'm not sure how old Graham is. But I remember seeing Lewis Hamilton on Blue Peter when he was young enough and he was driving go-karts. You know, and that's not a cheap hobby. Oh, are you that age as well, Ivan? To be honest, there's a few of you saying, I remember. And I'm thinking to myself, you can't be that old. But then I don't know you. I don't know what you look like or anything like that. And I'm making assumptions that you're not as old as me, when some of you probably older than me. Hey, Blue Bottle. Yeah, getting there slowly. What I might do, this is what I'm thinking of doing, is I might keep it short now until Christmas. And then from the 1st of January, I'm just going to let it grow. Let it grow. And then at Christmas, so I'm going to let it grow for a full year. And then at Christmas, I'll see if I can, because that'll only be the second time since I was 12 years old that I've grown it. So then I'll get to that point Christmas next year and maybe see if I can raise some money for charity by cutting it all off again. How you doing, Rob? Everyone putting their age in? Well, this is the thing, Alan. Right? I know, years ago, people didn't know what we know now. People back then didn't know that we all come from descendants from Africa, really. The whole entire population of this planet ultimately came from Africa somewhere. So we've all got a heritage. It's just that nobody knew that until more recently. So of course now people are less racist, if you want to use that word, than they used to be. I'm going to have to scroll up through these comments in a second because I missed some then. That's right, Lucifer. You're as old as you feel, or the person you're feeling. So who wouldn't want to feel 21 again? No, John. No idea. They do a mark from Bootle, just down the road. Oh, you're off, Candy Cane. Tony Dave just reminded me there. Let me just point out, people, because everybody was saying, where's little Ted? Where's little Ted? Well, little Ted didn't go anywhere. It's just that he's little, so you don't get to see him at the moment. But there he is, sitting on Big Ted's willy. Oh, no worry, Candy Cane. You take it easy. Hang on, you see, Jesus Jones, you call him Big Ted a perv. How do you know little Ted didn't force himself on Big Ted? Oh, Ash, I don't know if he consented or not, to be honest. I stay out of it. If I get involved, they start hitting me with their truncheon. And there's nothing I can do because they're old Bill, so... Yeah, actually, yeah. I suppose it does look a little bit, doesn't it? If they was a bit closer together, you could mistake them for Big Ted's ball bags. Oh, by the way, folks, yeah, something else as well. Marty Blagborough pointed something out to me earlier today when I was talking to him. I'm gonna be able to put together a PAP store for things such as the flags and the PAP cards and things like that. So if anybody want, the stuff that we're not able to sell through Spreadshirt, I'm going to put together a store which people will be able to buy stuff from. I'm going to try and do that at some point this week. Can't promise, but it will be done at some point, which just makes it easier. because it's very difficult, isn't it, when somebody says to me, oh, how do I get the PAP cards, and I'll say, well, go and check this video out, and then they've got to watch the video, and then they've got to click the link in the bottom and go through and do all of that stuff, which is a bit of a pain. So I'm going to try and sort it all out so we can do it through a store, basically, and do it all online. Evening, Motti. I got a notification earlier, by the way. Glad to have you back. Much appreciated. Yeah, I had a bit of a breakdown, Chuck. I had a bit of a breakdown and done a Britney Spears. No, I haven't, Graham, to be honest. I need to get some. Going for a quiet beer in Leicester. I'm not so sure it'll be quiet. This time next year I'll be a millionaire. Do you know what, Jay? I was talking to Marty earlier, and one of the things that we discussed is that there's lots of people support, which is absolutely fantastic, and I know a lot of people can't support, and again, it's absolutely not a problem. People that watch, people that share, people that comment and like, all of those things do help. It's unfortunate that YouTube finds it necessary to restrict or demonetize most of my videos. Otherwise, I'd probably be in a situation where I'd have some money coming in from monetization that would enable me to do bits and pieces. But getting back to that, there's lots of people that support me, and one of the things that we were saying is that, you know, with the amount of people that subscribe to the channel, for example, and I know you wouldn't, it's like giving to charity, isn't it? When you give to charity, you have to pick a charity to give to. You can't give to them all, unfortunately. And, you know, exactly the same with YouTube channels. We're seeing, you know, when you see these YouTube channels with gamers, and literally all they do is play games. They don't do any work. They play games and they live stream their games. And they make thousands and thousands of pounds every month for playing games. And they're not even giving anything to people, apart from just letting people watch them play their games. And I've got to say, it's absolutely crazy. But if if, for example, with the community we've got here, if a third of the community, for example, just gave £1 a month, as an example, and that would be enough for me to be able to do, because I've got to start thinking soon. I've got to start thinking about what I'm doing, because I was putting a business together before I started on this channel, and I've kind of been living on reserves, and well, yeah, I've been living on reserves for the past year and a half almost, and the problem is that runs out at some point, you know. So I want to be able, obviously, to. This is why I keep changing it up, and this is why I want to make everything more professional, because I want to appeal to more people, because the more people that watch the channel, the more chance there is of slightly more ad revenue. Sorry, I'm just... I don't do gaming. This is the thing, I don't do gaming. I spend literally all my time is spent, what's the word? Researching, writing, filming and editing. It's literally my whole day is taken up doing that. And it gets to what? 7 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, I'm literally, for the next hour or two, I'm responding to comments. Do you know what I mean? So it's, you know, it is a big job. Oh yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I love the community. Do you know what I mean? I'm absolutely thrilled that we have this. You know, there's a core community around in the channel, and that's great. And that's what I always wanted. I wanted to build a community. I wanted people to be able to, you know, come together. Yeah, well, Graham, this is what I want to do. I want to, if I can, the company that I was putting together, or the business that I was doing, I can quite easily just change the name of that business and make it about this. But it needs to be, it has to be worthwhile, if that makes sense, you know. And although it's, what's the word I'm thinking of? I can't think of the word. It's, although it's worthwhile to me personally, I've got to take that financial element of it as well. Start an OnlyFans channel. I don't think people want to see me, you know, doing that on an OnlyFans channel. I can't see people paying to see that, to be honest. Yeah, Mike, she started snoring. Pap Mankini, yeah. Can you imagine? Oh my God, why does my mind keep going blank? Chunk from the Goonies. Imagine Chunk from the Goonies in a mankini doing a truffle shuffle. That is why I won't do an OnlyFans. Well, again, Mike, this is the problem that I've got, is the time, you see. If I do a cooking channel, then literally I've got to do that on a Saturday, which is kind of my only day off, if you like, because Sunday, even though Sunday is a day off, I spend Sunday researching for Monday. So I don't really get Sunday off anyway, and Saturday is literally the only day that I don't do anything. And even, well, I say don't do anything, I still do stuff. But yeah, it's a pain, but how you doing, Tony? I'll look into it, Marty lad. I will look into Parlour. A lot of people have mentioned that. I have to find the time to look into it properly. No, I don't petrol head, so I need to find myself a PA who can sit under my desk and do it for me. See you later, Graham. Little Ted's on Big Ted's lap. There he is. How much time a week do I put into my videos? Okay. Let's say from Monday to Friday, I normally start between 9 and 10. Some days I'm lucky and I can finish about 5 o'clock. And then I get an hour or two before it goes public. But sometimes I'm working through until 7 o'clock and literally just get the video uploaded, and that's 5 days a week, not including on a Sunday when I spend most of Sunday afternoon looking stuff up for Monday's video. Lego Batman, how you doing? Take it easy, Thomas. Yeah, it's the majority of it is the writing the script, because I do the videos because there's so much information, I do have to write a script for the news videos. So the writing the script and editing are the things that take up the most time. Recording a video, I can have the video recorded in half an hour. That's not an issue at all. The research, I do get some help with research, and when I say research in that sense, I mean I have people sending me links, as you see in the beginning of the video. I thank people for those. So people will send me links. If I've not seen that link, then I'll put their name at the beginning of the video. Excuse me. But the research side of it can take a while, especially if I'm trying to phone anybody up to try and find anything out, or if I need to look for several sources to check information. But generally, the majority of the time is taken up with writing and editing. Andy, I enjoy it. I actually enjoy doing it. If I didn't enjoy it, then I wouldn't do them every day. That's for sure. I'd probably do maybe just a couple a week or whatever. But no, I enjoy doing it. Yeah, I mean it can take that long, Andy. Yeah. Well, I'm only 5'8" petrol head, so I think I think mine was stumped. Yeah, I'm using my mobile for this live stream. Again, I need to, once I get all set up in the studio and that, and I'll spend a couple of days going through how everything should be wired together and that, and seeing if I can get it working properly. And then I'll be able to use the proper camera. If I set the focus at a certain focal length, and make sure that I sit within that, then it should be okay. It should stay focused then. Five foot 12 inches. I hope people aren't being heightist on here. Wouldn't want to have to kick anybody out of chat for being heightist. Do you want to say hello? Oh, hello. 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 Oh, you just sneezed in my face. Hello, baby. Good girl. Tony, if that question's to me, then not really. I just don't have the time to do that anymore. Literally, if I can get to a point where if I can pay somebody to do me to do my writing or to do my editing, that gives me several hours a day freed up, and I can do some other bits and pieces then. But at the moment, I haven't got anything planned. Have I, Daisy? Hey, you want to come on, Daisy? Come on. No, not you, Alice. You just had a cuddle. Hello. Hello, Daisy. Hello. Hello. Ow, 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 ow. Look, nobody wants to see my nipples. Although, I haven't asked. Calm yourself. Thanks, Joshua. I think what it is I think there is no other channel that does what I do at the moment, and I think that's the USP, if you like. I think at the moment. No worries, Fergus. Take it easy. Mighty lad. Holly's areoli are hairy. Apparently. The middle bit's okay, it's just the edges. Oh, I'm sorry, Molly. There's no need for that, is there? Holly, you and me are going to fall out, I think. Molly, love has got nothing to do with it, trust me. Was it fanny clenchingly good? Oh dear. Well, I'll tell you what, Joshua. I mean, I never even intended for the channel to be as it is. I mean, I literally all I wanted to do was throw them videos on when I got arrested and follow that story on the channel. And I kind of got caught up in it a little bit. I don't think that I don't think it's gone to my head in that respect. I don't think it's just a case of me, going, oh, look, I've got loads of subscribers. I although I'm grateful for the amount of subscribers I've got. For me, it's all about putting stuff out. If I didn't get any more subscribers, I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be that bothered about it, for example. Just so long as the people that are here enjoy the videos, and that's my main thing. James CW, yes, I will get you a link if you just bear with me. Right, James CW, that there is the link to part 1. There's 4 parts to that video. Part 3 is boring, nothing much really happens, but watch it anyway because it helps. But when you get to the end of part 1, it should say there should be a link to part 2. If not, it's in the description. No, Tony, I don't do that. How you doing, Ian? Yeah, I think what it is, Joshua, is the fact that towards the end of last year, the channel, I think it was the end of last year, the channel, the subscribers on the channel just exploded. Well, it might have been the beginning of this year. I'm losing track of time. But it just exploded, and the subscribers just shot through the roof for a while. I think if it had been a slow and steady increase rather than the big step that it took, I probably wouldn't be so worried now about doing a studio and all of that kind of stuff. But I think, as I say, because it's taken that big step, and I'm now on what, 24,000, I think, nearly. So over 24,000, 24.1. I just kind of feel that, a quarter of a century almost is a time to start, bringing a bit more professionalism into it, I think. Oh yeah, it was definitely me, James. Molly, I don't have a naughty corner in my house. I have a naughty lap. So, if you want to come over for coffee. Vaping, Ash. I do have a vape. and I try and use it as often as possible, but for some reason I forget it's in front of me and I end up rolling a cigarette. Dean, yeah, I can do. Send me your number somehow. If you do it through WhatsApp, put your username underneath it so I know who you are. Because it is impossible to keep up with who everybody is on WhatsApp. So if you want to send it through WhatsApp, do it that way. If you want to send it through email, again, just let me know who it is. And when did you want me to call you? Ask him what he's wearing. I can't say I have petrol head, no. We used to have it when I was at school. There was I can't remember his, for the life of me, I can't remember his name. We used to call it. It was we shouldn't have done it, but we used to call him a test tube baby because of the shape of his head. It looked like he'd grown up with his head stuck in a test tube, a large test tube, but a test tube nonetheless. Purple Aki. I remember him. I was told he died, Tony. I was told that Pertwee died. I didn't know him. I knew of him. Brown sword. Oh dear. Ah. No, I mean, I've not heard. I've not seen him for years. I've not heard of anyone talk about him um, for a long time. But when I lived in town or nearer to town, when I was working in town, I used to hear about him quite a bit. Used to see him around. Oh, Jay, I know how you feel, mate. I used to smoke after sex. I just had to use more lube. No, I'm not a drinker. Very, very rarely will I drink alcohol these days. If I do, uh, if I do buy alcohol, it's normally alcohol-free stuff. So it's not really alcohol. But if I do buy beer, it's normally alcohol-free stuff from down the shop. Um, the only real vice that I have now is smoking or jacking up. What are you whinging for? Well, the way I see it, Lindsay, is if I smoke them, it means that the kids can't buy them and smoke them. So I'm doing them a favour. Your ex used to smoke during sex. Is that why she's an ex? Or is it why you're the ex now? Yeah, tonight I'm using the mobile phone tonight. It's quicker to set up, but you do get that searching, the focus, trying to search sometimes. Show you my puppies. Is that a euphemism, or you want to see the dogs? So there's been calls to rename John Wayne Airport. I didn't know there was an airport called John Wayne Airport. And remove a statue over racist remarks. He said in 1971 that he believed in white supremacy and used homophobic slur to refer to two actors. See, again, the problem that I have with things like this is that, okay, the 70s was still quite relatively recent, okay, but even in the 70s, people weren't as open-minded, shall we say, I think, as they are now. People now have changed. I mean, my mum and dad, and I'm not trying to say they were racist or homophobic or anything like that, by the way, but they have, for example, when I was younger, my brothers and sisters, they weren't allowed boyfriends or girlfriends in the house. I'm just using this as an example. They were not allowed a boyfriend or girlfriend to stay in the house overnight or anything like that. When I got to that age, I was allowed, because things had changed, times had changed. Do you know what I mean? Times had changed, and you grow and you develop slightly over time. Do you know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to say that people that have been horrible to other people, I'm not trying to say that that's right in any way, shape or form. All I'm trying to say is that there were times in our past, or in the past, in humanity's past, whether it was quite recent past or whether it was, you know, eons back, so to speak, when people thought, because of the way that they were brought up, that the way that they were was the right way to be. And as time goes on and they realise that, maybe that's not the right way to be. They may have said something in the past, but I don't think you can hold people against what they've said in the past. You've got to deal with people as they are. You know what I mean? As they are now. I don't agree with holding people to things that they've done in the past. It's almost like no, it's not. It's not like that at all. But you know, to hold a grudge against somebody for something that they've said 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, is absolutely stupid. If they're saying the same things now, then fine. You know, deal with that if they're saying the same things now that it's less accepted now than it was, or than it appeared to be back then. But to hold it against people for something that they've done 50 years ago is absolutely ridiculous. And Jay, that is exactly right, mate. And it's one of the things that I've been trying to say is that you know, if you hide the past, you can't learn not to do it again. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, this is what seems to happen. It seems to be the cycle in everything. it's like a fashion. You know what I mean? Flares, for example, came into fashion, they went out. They came into fashion again, they went out. Now, if you don't learn from stuff in the past, you just have this cycle all the time of it coming back and going away and coming back and going away, because people are trying to disguise the fact that it ever existed. Jay, yeah, the UK store. If you look in the description of this video, you've got a little section that says support the channel, and then you've got PayPal, Patreon, and then it says buy merch, UK buyers and US buyers, and there's a link to each one, the UK and the US store. Molly, Joshua, people say that it was racism that dates back. It's discrimination, not racism, discrimination. I think that's for me that needs to be the word discrimination, rather than picking individual things out like, you know, racism or homophobia and all that stuff. Discrimination is discrimination, regardless to who it's against. It's all the same thing, and to give it all these little separate names for the same thing, which is not agreeing with, you know, or treating somebody differently because of who they are, it's discrimination. Oh yeah, petrolhead. If you hate everyone, that's all good. That's all good. Treat everybody the same. You can't discriminate then, can you? Just detest everybody. It's all good. The problem is, Mark, you're never, ever going to get rid of it. Never in a million years, billion years, are you going to be able to get away with discrimination. Because not everybody will give up their discrimination against others. And you cannot stop people from discriminating. That's the problem. You know, people have to be allowed to live according to their beliefs. What we have to do is we have to, I think, in education, shall we say, and I'm not trying to say that we should brainwash kids. What I'm saying is that kids should be exposed, shall we say, to all of these different ideas, but not forced upon them. And I think that's where some discrimination comes from, actually from schools, because I've put videos up on my channel about school kids getting in trouble simply because they said there's only two sexes, male and female. Okay? And they get in trouble for it. They get shouted at, they get kicked out of class. Do you think that is going to make that lad or that girl more discriminative towards gays, transsexuals, etc., or less discriminative? It's going to make them more discriminative, thinking, well, why am I getting into trouble just because of my opinion? Oh, it's their fault because they're the ones that are bringing all of this silliness in. So that's where the discrimination is going to stem from, isn't it? You know, so as you know, let people have their opinion. Let kids have their opinions. Let them be exposed to all the different things in learning. Okay, but don't force it on them. And I've said this about LGBT stuff in schools, right? About kids wanting, you know, trans kids and things like that, which I think isn't right in my personal opinion. I think letting kids do that stuff and you know, and allowing children under a certain age to basically say, oh, I want to identify as a girl when they're a boy, I think, in my opinion, is wrong. But they should be allowed to understand it, you know, explain it in school, have a lesson. I don't know what you'd call it, but have a lesson in the curriculum which talks about, rather than having religious education, have one, or have religious education, but also have one about social education, if you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it. But then what you do is you spend those lessons that are about explaining to kids the differences of people. Yeah? Well, there's this type of person believes this, they do that, the other. But get them acclimatized to the fact that there are people out there that are different, but should be treated the same as everybody else. Well, I mean, socialism class or citizenship or something like that. I mean, it makes sense to me. It makes sense. As I say, rather than forcing opinions on kids who have got their own strong opinions, and when you try and force something upon somebody, they will reject it even more. So rather than that, you just have lessons and you explain the differences between people, or how some people are different in one respect, but should all be treated the same. Copwatch UK, I have no idea. I've no idea, mate. Yeah, Dream Demon. I mean, kids have to decide for themselves. It's put it this way: it's like when you imagine parents break up and the kids go live with the mum, because that's generally what happens in it. No matter what happens, even if the mum's a bitch, oh, can you feel that? Can you tell that I've got a bit of hatred there? even if the mum is horrible, the kids will go and stay with mum, and then, you know, dad gets to see them once a fortnight. But some mums will say, well, the kids can learn for themselves what their dad is like. Okay? Which is the right thing to do. Kids need to make that decision themselves. So if the dad, for example, or let's do it this way. So if the absent parent fails to turn up all of the time, and the parent with responsibility for the children goes, right, that's it, I'm not letting them see them or them anymore, then you're taking that decision away from the kids, which the kids will ultimately rebel against at some point. And I think it's the same with everything else, what we're just talking here. If you allow kids to make decisions themselves, rather than going, if a child turns around and goes, oh, I had a thought the other day of wearing my sister's dress. Just using that as an example. Teachers are like, oh my God, quick, cover them in cotton wool, drag them away from everybody else. Do you know what? That means that you're trans. Yes, and don't worry, we'll help you. And then they start forcing all this stuff on them. Do you know what I mean? And they start forcing all of this stuff into their head that confuses them even more. And that is not allowing the child to make up their own mind. I was having a conversation with someone the other week, and you turn around and, and if a child turns around and says, I thought about kissing little Timmy the other day, and this is little Johnny we're talking about. So little Johnny says, I thought about kissing little Timmy the other day, for example. Then you allow them to be able to get the information that they need and make their own decisions from that. Make sure everything is available to them. Don't force it on them. Yeah, exactly, Molly. 100%. 100%. I used to play with my sister's dolls when I was a kid. They used to play with me and my brother's action toys. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean I've got a dress and a pair of suspenders stuck in the second drawer down in the left-hand wardrobe underneath my shoes and ties. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I've got no issues with it at all, mate. Absolutely none. My ex's brother was gay. I've got no issue with people that are gay, trans, or whatever. No problem at all. The problem that I would have with them is if they were dickheads, and that's it. Because I don't care. I don't care if somebody's wearing a dress or a pair of trousers. If they're a knob, they're a knob. I don't know what you're talking about, Tony. Better go and move them in a minute, Alice. I just used to take all the clothes off of my sister's Barbies. They go, hang on a minute, is that really what women look like? There's nothing there. Why are they always hiding it? Do I like silky panties? Well, there's nothing wrong with them. until she has to put them back on again. Ian, I'll let you know. I'll have to set up a PO box just in case anyone out there wants to send me some. Oh, damn. Yeah, good point, Fergus. Joshua, I kind of agree with you. I don't call it fat shaming. I call it, what do I call it? But I call it being disrespectful rather than putting a specific name on it. And the reason I call it disrespectful is because if you call it fat shaming, people then become afraid to even mention it to people. You know, so they could see somebody who they can tell is putting on lots of weight. Maybe that person doesn't want to accept it or admit it to themselves. But if somebody thinks, oh, if I mention it to them, you know, I'm going to be fat shaming them, then they might not mention it to that person when they might actually need to. Do you know what I mean? I mean, personally, I don't care. People call me fat, fucking whatever. I get it all the time from some of the idiots in the comments. Call me fat this, that, and the other, and it makes no difference to me. I am fat. Do you know what I mean? I am overweight. It makes no, you know, it's my problem, nobody else's. And if somebody wants to call me a fat bastard, then good luck to them. However, I would expect if I suddenly ballooned, for example, I would expect somebody, or I would hope somebody would turn around and say to me, "Oi, Dan, man, what's going on? Put on a bit of weight there, haven't you?" Do you know what I mean? But then some people, as I say, would see that as fat shaming. They might not mention it to somebody. Just see what I'm saying? So I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking your comment at all, because yeah, I think you need to be respectful to people. But I think there's a difference between being disrespectful and fat shaming. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? King. I shouldn't have laughed at that, but do you know what? I had to. Petrol head. So are fat blokes. Fat wives matter. Owen Jones is a knob. You could say Owen Jones takes a knob as well, or gives a knob. I don't really know whether he's a giver or a taker. I don't know who the butch one is in his relationships, but that's still not homophobic. It's a factual statement. Yeah, to be honest, Tony, I reckon he is as well. I don't think he's got. I don't think he's got it in him to be a giver. Yeah, Ash, was that that's the bird that the police constable with the double-barreled surname in it, Emma something. And because the woman was a hooker and a drug addict, wasn't it? Oh, my CB handle was Renegade many years ago. Many years ago. Benson Shaw, that's the one, yeah. Emma Benson Shaw. Yeah, I spoke about it the other day. In fact, she's in tomorrow's report. Got a cobra. Cobras were illegal, weren't they? If I remember rightly. I can't remember what rig I had now. I do remember once, I'll tell you what I did do though. I do remember once going to this woman's house. There was about 6 of us. We was only about 15 at the time. This is mental, this is. There's about 15 of us. And there was this woman who was on the CB as well. And we was all mates and we was chatting this woman. And you know what it's like when you're all 15, everyone's going, oh, she sounds fit, I'm going to bang her and all this, that and the other. Anyway, somehow, I can't remember how, we all ended up going to this woman's house. Now, she was in her like late 20s or something. So we've all gone to this woman's house. And we ended up staying there for like 5 or 6 days without going home, without getting in touch with our parents or nothing. We was there for like 5 or 6 days. And we was off our tits. She was like, who wants a drink? And everyone's like, yeah, I'll have a drink. Well, after about the second, I think it was the second day, somebody's gone in the kitchen and they've seen her with this bag of white powder putting spoonfuls in everyone's drinks. I kid you not. It turned out she was putting speed in everyone's drinks. And we all got off of our tits, man. We was all absolutely mangled. And I think it was on the third or fourth day. She was like, "Oh, I need to put an aerial up on the roof. Who wants to help me out?" So I was like, "I'll do it. I don't care. I'm not scared of heights." So anyway, it was a 3-story townhouse. So you're talking 4 floors because it had a loft. So we've gone up the ladder, and the ladder only reached the guttering. So I've gone up the ladder, and I've managed to scramble up with a rope tied around my waist. Dropped the rope down, dragged the aerial up, and put this aerial on her. It was like a 25, 30-foot aerial on a chimney stack, and I couldn't get down. That's how we got caught. Because I couldn't get down. It was like proper windy up there. I was only like, I was about 14, 15 or something like that, and I was stuck on this fucking roof, speeding my tits off, clinging on to this fucking chimney stack like this, crapping myself. I had to call the fire brigade to come and get me down. That's how we all got caught. There's a fire brigade had to come and get us. They called the police as well because there was a 14, 15-year-old stuck on a roof. But we was all off our nuts. It was madness, absolute madness. And the thing is, when I got back, I was still high for days afterwards, absolutely off my tits for about 3 or 4 days afterwards. You know, I was drinking about, I don't know, 10 drinks a day, for example, with like a level teaspoon of speed in each drink. Do you know what I mean? Twisted, mate. I was absolutely twisted. Oh, the good old days. Take it easy, Tony. Thanks for jumping on. Yeah, nowadays, Jay, and that nowadays, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I don't think. You know, just to, you know, if I was doing that, if I was around someone's house, just getting off my tits on speed like that, nowadays would probably mess me up. But back then, you know, I didn't even realise at the time. Do you know what I mean? But oh. Mushrooms. I've never done mushrooms, but I was stopped in a car with my brother once with a carrier bag full under my seat. Yeah, we was on our way back, Dream Demon. We was on our way back from Pickenham. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning or something, and the car we was in had no exhaust on. And my brother was driving, and he drove right past the police station. And as we drove past with the, with the exhaust roaring, police car pulled out of the police car park, straight up behind us, lights on, pulled us over in a bus stop. He's having a go about the noise and everything else and how dangerous it is. The fumes can come through into the car and all the rest of it. So we had to stand outside the car while this copper was sitting in the car, and then he radioed through to a police mechanic who had to come out, and then the police mechanic got in the car, and he was sort of laying in the footwell. I was fucking hell, like this, no. And he's laying in a footwell, doing whatever he was doing. And then thankfully they didn't see anything or find anything. He just turned around and said, right, you can't drive your car because it's too dangerous. So we had to leave it where it was and go back and get it later. But yeah, my sphincter was tighter than a duck's butt. Take it easy, Marty. See you later, Mark. I'm going to wrap this up soon myself anyway. Get myself something to eat. Little Bear's over here, sitting on Big Bear's lap. Take it easy, record everything, and then expose their lies. Thanks for joining us. I'll tell you what I did the other last month. I wrote, or I didn't write, I put subject access request into ACRO, which is the Criminal Records Bureau. I've done it before, and they turned around and said, no, you've got to go to your local police stations, which I did. And the information I got from them was terrible. There was stuff missing, which is good, because the worst crime I'd ever done was in there. And it was missing. So I thought, what a result. But anyway, last month I put in a subject access request to ACRO, and a week ago or so, 2 weeks ago, I received my subject access request back. However, if any of you have seen Marty Blagborough's video when he done his subject access request, where there is, you know, it's like intelligence reports. Marty was seen at the train station wearing this, that and the other, carrying something else. It looks like he was doing this. Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. All these intelligence reports. For some reason, the police don't want to give me mine. And it might sound really silly, but I've done subject access requests to both police forces, which is Essex Police and Merseyside Police. And both of them were nothing like everybody else's that I've seen. And I've seen a dozen people do subject access requests. And all of theirs come back with all of this intelligence in there. Lots of it blacked out, redacted, but it's got intelligence in there. Was seen at such and such a place, was seen with so and so, has brought a new car, whatever it might be, right? None of mine have been anything like that. And for some reason, they just don't want to give it to me. And I'm not suggesting it's for some, you know, nefarious reason, but it's very strange that they don't want to give it to me. I mean, this is mine. And that's literally what every page looks like. Every page just looks like that. Okay. And if any of you have seen if any of you have seen somebody's criminal record that they've, or their paperwork that they've done a subject access request for, you will know that that is not what people get. Which is proper weird as far as I'm concerned. I mean, what have we got on here? Let's have a look at the dates. 2014. (2015), 2020, 2014, 94. (99). So what have we got? So again, like, you guys know I don't care. I've done nothing really that bad, and I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I've done some silly things in my time. For example, where are we? Right. Although they have ballsed up, I mean, I haven't got blue eyes, I've got brown eyes, but apparently I've got blue eyes. So let's find the first bit. Right, which I think this goes from most recent to oldest. Or is it? No, that's just to do with all my addresses. That's just to do with what I look like. So what we've got is 2 pages. 2 pages, that's it, of stuff from ACRO, the National Criminal Record Bureau, and there's just 2 pages. And I can tell you for a fact that there should be more than that. Andrew, none of the forces have given me anything. I've done local requests to the police forces, and I've got them here somewhere. And I went through them in another video, and they are pretty much similar to this. They're nothing like the ones that everybody else seems to get, with all the information and, you know, all the redacted stuff on there, and where it says that, so, you know, they were seen outside such and such a place with so and so, and, you know, all of that intelligence stuff. They won't give it to me. For example, this one is 25th, no it wasn't, 21st. What was it? It was a Friday. Oh, I can't remember, but we've got this one here. Remanded on bail. This is when I got held in custody over a weekend. And that was for cultivation. That is literally, oh my God. Oh my God. I've just realised all this says, all Acro says, 2 crimes. Acro says 2 crimes in my entire life. Maybe I shouldn't make a fuss about it, because that's that's a huge amount less than there should be. But we've got obviously my cultivation charge. Remanded. Yeah, both of these was when I was remanded on both of these. But yeah, we've got my where is it? It doesn't even say it on it. How strange. Oh yeah, produce controlled drugs, Class B cannabis. So that one's on there. That one's the same, that's part of the same thing. But then we've got one from 1998. Yeah, 1998. Using threatening, abusive, insulting words or behaviour with intent to cause fear or provocation of violence. So, section 4, I believe. At a BP petrol station. Including assault occasioning ABH. Oh no, that's 2 separate ones. My apologies. So right, so I've got assault occasioning ABH on the 4th of the 10th, 1998, and then 10 days later, I got nicked again for using and threatening, abusive, insulting words or behaviour with intent to cause fear or provocation of violence. 10 days later, for which the using in threatening, abusive, insulting words or behaviour, I got 100 hours community service. However, the assault, ABH, I got a caution. But that is literally, so we've got assault, scaring somebody, basically, and producing controlled Class B drugs. Apparently, that's all that crow hold on me. What a result. Unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, I can't moan at that in some respects, but then I wanted the information. Do you know what I mean? And they've not given me all the information. So so I'm going to need to get onto them again. That's yeah. Oh, Andrew, I did. I gave my YouTube channel name. I gave all of my addresses. I've given phone numbers that they would have had. I've given literally everything, and I've asked them for any and all. And I've got a video that explains how people can do subject access requests on the channel. Trust me, I asked them specifically. Did I call you? Did I call you over? Oh, hello. Oh. Hang on, Daisy. Can't get you both up, can I? Below this. Oh God, you've got to push in, haven't you? Hey, you have to push in, don't you? Oh God, your breath stinks of shite. You've been licking your sister's bumhole. Hello. Oh. Daisy, come here a minute. Look at the camera. Look at the camera, because you've got to tell Jay to stop being horrible, because he says that he likes Alice more than he likes you, but he told me not to tell you. Midget porn. I get it all sent directly by Holly. Yeah, it's very niche though. It's not just any old midget. It has to be a midget dominatrix. Because I like it when the little midget dominatrix makes me pretend to be a horse and paddles me as I'm galloping around the spare room. Yeah, leather chaps and a full head gimp mask with one of them things that the horses have in their mouth. I can't remember what they're called now. And I have to call her Mini Miss. That's what she makes me call her. I have to call her Mini Miss. Yes, Mini Miss. I'm sorry, Mini Miss. Please put more lube on, Mini Miss. Funnily enough, Molly, that's exactly what she says. Oompa Loompa is the safe word. Oh dear. And there was me trying to keep this live stream, you know, on a level that YouTube might not demonetize it. That's gone out the fucking window now, isn't it? These live ones at the moment, James, are literally just for people to get together and have a chat, and you know, if something serious comes up, we'll discuss it. If not, it's just somewhere for everyone to come and have a break from their partners, because let's face it, the monotony of having to sit there with your wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend every bloody night, whinging and moaning in your bloody earhole. So I put this on a Sunday night where I can to allow everybody to have a break. Because the reason being, Mark, is because it looks bad on all of them. That's why, and that's why they cover it up. They literally, they will do their best to back each other up because it looks bad on the police. But what they don't seem to realise is how much worse it looks from our point of view, because we can see them trying to cover it up and hide it. Because let's face it, we know, right? We all know that even police underneath are human beings, okay? So, so they make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But trying to hide from those mistakes and trying to pretend those mistakes didn't happen is never a good idea. Apologise. Say, do you know what? I ballsed up. I'm sorry. Or we ballsed up. We're sorry. This is what we're going to do to rectify the fuck up that's happened. People will respect them a lot more for doing that, putting their hands up and saying, yeah, I did it, rather than saying, no, don't know what you're talking about, it didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? Even though it's on video, no, that's not how it happened. No, You're reading it all wrong. That foot is not down that bloke's throat. That bloke's throat is over that police officer's foot. So it's his fault, not the police officer's. Do you know what I mean? And this is what they do. They don't just admit that they've ballsed up when they balls up. I do. I mean, most people do. Most people will say, do you know what? I made a mistake, or I said something and I shouldn't have said it, or I did something and I shouldn't have done it. But no, not for them. Photography, light and magic, yeah. I normally do one of these on a Sunday night. I think I missed last week's, but they are normally on a Sunday night. Well, yeah, it will make them look stupid, but people will respect them for being honest. This is the thing. When I say they'll respect, I don't mean that the respect is going to be restored overnight because one person apologised. I just mean that if the police superiors turned around and said, you know what, we know this has happened, it's quite blatant that that's happened, they're gone, rather than saying, well, you know, we need to investigate this properly for the next 18 months. And while we're doing that, we'll continue paying PC fuck bollocks to sit at a desk, yeah, just so that people can't have a go at him on the streets. But we're going to continue paying him. He's still going to get his pension, even though it's quite obvious that he broke somebody's face. Do you know what I mean? Just, no, stop it. When you can blatantly see that they've done something wrong, boom, gone, see you later. No need for a misconduct hearing. Get out. Hiya, Joanna, sorry, my apologies. Thank you. Yeah, no, I agree with that, James. I agree. There's too many cases where somebody has done something wrong and they get the full, well, they don't get the full brunt of it because they try and cover it up, don't they? But yeah, they're the ones that all the attention's on, and it seems to be that the ones that were standing around doing nothing, the attention is drawn away from them. But you know, if it was the other way around, if I was standing next to a friend who was stamping on somebody's face and caved in their skull, and I didn't try to stop it, I would certainly get done for just standing there and letting it happen. Still being investigated, Mike. As far as I'm aware, there's no move forward yet, and that's been a good few months now. I cannot understand why it's taken that long when it's clear on video. AB, how you doing, my man? Not yet, Mike, not yet. He has, as far as I'm aware, he is still employed and he is still working, but he's working at a desk at the moment. Hi, Debbie. Cleveland police are bad, yeah. Well, obviously they're the first force in history, as far as I'm aware, that have ever been called out to be failing in all areas, and they quite literally do not do anything for the public. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a shorter bird if your bird's shorter than you. In fact, it makes perfect sense if you go out to the pub and the bar's full. You just rest your pint on her head. It's right, Alan. The Bill Turner link channel that you sent me is in a folder of things that I have to go through. I'm getting to it. I'm nearly there. Molly, that's not how you spell balls. Teabagging across the universe. So yours are more like used tea bags, petrol head. Oh, Jesus. I didn't even realise. I forgot to plug in my phone to do this live stream. And it's literally just popped up now that there is like 10% battery left. Oh, even if I plug this in, it's going to struggle to charge. So I'm going to have to give it about 5 minutes, I'm afraid, and then I'm going to have to call it. It depends. It depends what the battery does, because it's not just using. It's using the camera and it's using the Wi-Fi there as well. So it's gonna drain. Well, when as the channel gets a bit bigger and I've got the studio and all the rest of it, I'm going to these live streams. I'll probably be doing sort of like this kind of live stream once a month, and then I might do once or twice a month. I might do live streams that have actually got some structure to them. Get people to phone in and discuss and all that stuff. But again, it all comes putting the studio together and setting everything up properly. Because every time I've tried to do that here in the living room on the setup that I've got at the moment, things go horribly wrong and embarrassingly wrong. Thanks, Joshua. Is it true that if I drink a unicorn's blood, I'll live forever? Right, Dane, I'm gonna be wrapping this up in a few minutes, and then I'll make a quick brew, let the dogs out, and then I'll get on it. Well, at least they know where it's going, Terry. Unlike here, the £1 million or so that BLM UK have managed to raise on GoFundMe. I think Petrolhead was just talking about his balls, I think. Which is not a problem, by the way. Not a problem. Not that I want to talk about your balls, but I'm just saying. As long as nobody's targeting somebody constantly and having a go at them or inciting any kind of violence, then, you know, most things are fine on here. You know, nobody's going to offend me with anything that they say, but I have to draw the line at some point, and that is if it's a targeted campaign at somebody just having a go at them, or if it's, as I say, trying to generate incitement against somebody else, then that's the other thing that I have to call it at. Here's a question for you guys. How many people watching? 50, 60 people. Is there anybody on here that would class themselves as independent media, by which, and let me just be clear, I don't just mean auditing. Nothing wrong with auditing, absolutely, but this is a specific question I'm asking for a specific reason. Is there anybody on here at the moment that would class themselves as independent media that will cover a story or write articles or anything like that? What do you do, Live Now, Die Later? What is it you do? Do you, Mark? Do you go out and get your own stories or anything like that? Right, Mike, take it easy. Cool. Night, Ash. Thanks for joining us. So, an independent radio show plays rock, metal, blues, and unsigned bands and artists. What do you, I mean? How do you get your news? I'm presuming you have like a news segment of some description. Jay, Holly only gives as good as she gets when she's got a strap on. I've not looked yet. I've just opened my phone up, typed in monkey hanger, and then turn the screen off. So I will have a look at that whilst I'm making a cup of coffee in a minute. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. Yeah, Mike, that's what I was saying. There's no mention of how the money is really going to be used. There's no mention of the people that are involved. It's very cloak and daggery. Night, Andy. See you next time. If it is James, then they're on a winner, aren't they? But the thing is, I think if they're saying it's for charity, I think they have to prove that they're a charity, like registered charity. I think they're registered as a business. I don't think they're registered as a charity though, without looking again properly. But I don't think they are. Right. Guys, I am going to have to call it, I'm afraid. I'm down to 8% on battery. So I'm going to have to call it a day, I'm afraid. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm sorry if you've just joined the stream. And now I'm going, but such is life. Well, we can talk about that at some point, maybe, Mark. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you, everybody, again. Always enjoy your company and your what's the word? Involvement in the comment section, shall we say. Everybody, yeah, everybody look after yourselves. I would do my normal ending, but I can't remember it for some reason. So, oh yes, I can. Stay safe. There we go. Take care. Look after yourself. Oh God, no. Stay safe. Look after each other. Film the popo. And all them other tossers. Sorry, Cop Watch. I've got to go, man. I've got to go. Got to make a brew. Got to make a phone call. Got to let the dogs out. Got to tug one off. That was probably a little bit too much information. That's a midget porn. Right, that's it, guys. I am gone. Thank you again, and I will see you all tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Pat Reports. Take it easy.